Floating wooden shelves are one of those rare design elements that perfectly combine functionality and beauty. They're simple in concept, a shelf with no visible brackets or supports, seemingly suspended in space. But the impact they bring to a room is anything but simple. Whether installed in a cozy kitchen nook, across a statement wall in a living room, or flanking a bed in a minimalist bedroom, floating wooden shelves add depth, warmth, and character without ever overwhelming the space. They're subtle, yet transformative. And perhaps what makes them so appealing is that they speak a quiet kind of elegance, one that's grounded in craftsmanship, in material honesty, in design restraint. Let's begin with the material itself, wood. There's something timeless about wooden shelves. The grain patterns, the texture, the warmth, they all create a kind of visual comfort that few other materials can replicate. Whether it's a richly grained walnut, a pale, sleek maple, a rustic reclaimed pine, or a bold and dramatic black-stained oak, wood has the ability to adapt to any style, from modern and minimal to traditional and eclectic. It works just as beautifully in a loft apartment with concrete walls as it does in a cottage kitchen with soft floral tiles. Wood is that versatile. But it's not just about what kind of wood you choose. It's about how that wood is treated, shaped, and finished. Some floating shelves are thick and chunky, drawing the eye with their visual weight. Others are slim, low profile, almost disappearing into the wall. The finish can be raw and matte, letting the natural grain do the talking, or smoothed and polished to a refined sheen. There are shelves with visible knots and imperfections, each one telling a story of the tree it came from, and others that are perfectly uniform, almost architectural in their precision. And then there's the question of tone. Lighter woods like birch, ash, or white oak lend themselves beautifully to Scandinavian-inspired spaces. They feel fresh, airy, and clean, bouncing light around the room and keeping things bright. Medium tones, think cherry, teak, or warm walnut, offer a richer, cozier feel. These tones are perfect for spaces that aim to be inviting without being heavy. And then you have dark woods, espresso finishes, blackened ash, deep-stained oak. These bring drama. They anchor a wall. They contrast beautifully with lighter decor and make the shelves themselves feel sculptural. The way you style floating wooden shelves can completely change their vibe. One approach is minimalism, just a few carefully chosen objects per shelf, spaced out with intention. Maybe a ceramic vase, a stack of linen-bound books, a single framed photograph. This approach emphasizes negative space. It gives each item room to breathe, turning your shelf into more of an art installation than a storage unit. Then there's layered styling. This is where you allow items to overlap, to interact. A painting leaned against the wall, partly obscured by a trailing plant. A tall candlestick next to a low, textured bowl. Books turned both vertically and horizontally to create levels and variation. Layering adds visual interest. It gives your shelves depth. It makes the space feel lived in, curated over time rather than styled in a single afternoon. One of the best things about floating wooden shelves is how they can serve different functions in different rooms. In the kitchen, they're perfect for displaying everyday dishes, glassware, or collections of cookbooks. Floating shelves in a kitchen keep things accessible and open. They replace the heaviness of upper cabinets with something lighter, more flexible. A few ceramic bowls, a wooden cutting board leaned artfully, maybe a potted herb or two, and suddenly your kitchen feels both functional and styled. In the bathroom, floating with shelves can hold rolled towels, jars of bath salts, a few candles, maybe a small plant. Here, they add warmth to what's often a cold, tiled space. They soften the lines. They create little moments of visual interest in a room that's usually focused on utility. Plus, the natural material of wood contrasts beautifully with porcelain and metal fixtures, adding a much-needed organic touch. In bedrooms, floating wooden shelves can replace bulky nightstands. Mounted on either side of the bed, they offer a sleek, modern alternative. Just enough space for a lamp, a book, a glass of water. No legs, no clutter underneath. Just clean lines and functional simplicity. Or they might appear above the headboard, displaying art, photographs, or soft lighting for a layered visual effect that draws the eye upward and makes the space feel taller. In living rooms, floating shelves often become gallery walls. Instead of nailing a dozen separate hooks into the wall, you mount a long wooden shelf, or 2 or 3, and use them to display artwork, leaning frames instead of hanging them. It creates a dynamic display that's easy to change. New season, new prints. Holiday. Add garlands or string lights. It becomes a flexible, ever-evolving centerpiece. You'll also find floating wooden shelves and entryways. A single narrow shelf can serve as a place to drop keys, hold a mirror above, or display a small arrangement of dried florals. It welcomes you into the space with style, even if the footprint is tiny. And in offices, floating shelves offer a way to keep surfaces clear while still having everything within reach. Books, reference materials, decor, off the desk, on display. One overlooked but beautiful option is to run a series of shelves vertically, instead of a single long shelf stretched across a wall. Think of 4 or 5 small shelves stacked one above the other. This arrangement works especially well in narrow wall spaces, between 2 windows, beside a fireplace, or on either side of a doorway. It adds rhythm, repetition. It creates a vertical movement that lifts the whole space. Lighting can elevate wooden floating shelves even further. Picture an LED strip tucked along the underside of a shelf, casting a warm glow onto the objects below. Or tiny puck lights recessed above, highlighting artwork or creating a soft wash against the wall. Lighting transforms shelves from storage to stage. It makes your styling efforts shine, literally. Installation matters, too. For a true floating look, the supports are hidden within the shelf itself. Strong, steel brackets are mounted into studs behind the drywall, and the hollow core shelf slides on like a sleeve. The result? No visible supports. Just wood, clean and unbroken, extending from a wall. The illusion is strong, but the structure is solid. Done right, these shelves can hold significant weight. Just be sure to anchor them properly, especially if you're styling with heavy items like stacks of books or ceramics. Sustainability plays a growing role in wooden decor, and floating shelves are no exception. Many designers now work with reclaimed or salvaged wood. Think barnwood with a rich patina, or beams from deconstructed buildings. These pieces have character, history, soul. Every nail hole or weathered edge becomes part of the story, and using reclaimed wood adds a layer of depth, not just visual, but emotional. You're giving something old new life, in a fresh context. Custom shelving also allows for unique expressions of style. You might want a shelf with a live edge, where the natural line of the wood is left intact. Or maybe a set of shelves that taper in thickness from front to back, adding a subtle sculptural feel. There are shelves in geometric shapes, hexagonal. Floating wooden shelves are more than just a design trend. They're a smart, lasting solution that combines form, function, and a touch of soul. In a world full of heavy furniture and cluttered surfaces, floating shelves offer something refreshing: simplicity, clean lines, open space. They bring balance to a room. Whether you're working with a small apartment or a large home, they allow you to make a statement without taking up floor space. But more than that, they offer flexibility. They adapt to you, not the other way around. The real charm of floating wooden shelves lies in their versatility. Want a minimal, modern vibe? Go with smooth walnut or maple, mounted cleanly against a white wall. Looking for something more rustic and grounded? Reclaimed oak or distressed pine instantly adds warmth and texture. And if you're somewhere in between, blending modern edge with organic character, you can mix finishes, tones, and thicknesses to create something entirely your own. But what makes these shelves more than just practical is how they become part of your living expression. You're not just installing a shelf, you're creating a platform for storytelling. Books, framed photos, vintage finds, plants, ceramics, they all take on new life when placed with intention. And the best part? It's never permanent. Rearranging becomes part of the rhythm of your home. Add, subtract, shift. Each change reflects a new season, a new memory, a new mood. Floating wooden shelves are not just storage. They're framing devices. They guide the eye, define walls, and introduce visual flow. In a kitchen, they can replace upper cabinets to create a more open, breathable space. In a living room, they can elevate everyday objects into artful compositions. In a hallway, a single shelf can turn an empty wall into a focal point. And wherever they go, they add warmth, because wood, in all its natural beauty, brings in a sense of calm, grounding, and connection. So when you're thinking of how to upgrade a space, whether it's a subtle shift or a full transformation, remember the floating wooden shelf. It's simple but powerful. It's quiet but full of presence. And when placed with intention, it doesn't just hold things. It holds feeling. It brings design, utility, and emotion together in a way that feels effortless, but never empty. That's the beauty of it. A single, well-crafted shelf can carry not just your objects, but your personality, your story, and your sense of home.